I didn't realize until I started preparing for this that your film was actually first a short film. Was that always, was the short film just a short film, or was it specifically made in order to become a feature later on?
Yeah, it was. The short is, by the way, available on the DVD, which is coming out. And it was made as a proof of concept for the feature film. So I made it with the intention of using it as a sales tool for the feature.
Awesome. And why did you kind of decide to go that route?
Well, mainly because it's so hard to get a movie made that people need to see something. They need to see some sort of proof of concept for how you're planning on spending their money. So that was the main reason. Awesome.
I wish I would have known that before, because I'm a big fan of short films and so forth. So I always find it amazing when you're able to turn one of these shorts into a feature. So how was that transition? Was that easy or hard, or how did that go for you?
It was challenging for sure. I mean, I had a good idea of what the story was going to be. From the beginning, obviously, because we were just expanding the short into a feature. But, transitioning, raising the money was probably the most difficult thing. But, there wasn't anything easy about the process, to be honest. But, it was an education, and, it's not for the faint of heart, for sure. Anybody that wants to turn their short film into a feature, buckle up.
So from the short to the feature, were there any major differences in the story, or everything kind of ended up coming out the way you expected?
Well, the main plot points are the same. When you expand something that's 18 minutes into 90 minutes, you have a lot more time, so you can develop the characters more. So that's one of the big things. And also in the short film, the girl who's in the chair is not Drew's fiance. So in the short film, it's just an actress.
Oh, okay.
And also the way that the girl in the chair gets possessed is sort of explained a little bit more in the short film, but that was changed pretty drastically for the feature.
Oh, interesting. Definitely going to have to go back and now that I know, check out the short film to see what's going on there.
Well, make sure people know that it's available on the DVD, because I think the DVD represents 4 years of my life. Starting with the writing and production and touring with the short film, which won awards all over the world, to the creation of the feature film, which is now on Shudder and about to be on DVD.
Awesome. So it's been quite a journey from all the way back then till now. So that's all on the DVD. The whole
the short film. Yep, the short film. We've got I believe there's some behind the scenes for makeup. There's also a director and producer commentary. So me and my wife Natalie, who produced the movie with me, we do a commentary on the feature film. That's all going to be part of it.
Awesome. That's all awesome stuff. So going back to the beginning, where did the original idea for this movie? How do you kind of put this all together at the very beginning?
Well, it sort of combines my love for exorcism and horror with my background in reality TV. Having worked in reality TV for so long, and also being fascinated as an editor. I'm a film and TV editor as well. With the power of editing and the way that people sort of believe that something is real if the quality of the picture is lower, shaky cell phone cam, that sort of thing. If they believe that something is real, they believe that something is real if the camera quality is crappy and maybe it's uncut or something like that. So it was sort of just taking those two concepts of our live streaming world that we live in and combining that with exorcism horror, which I already loved, and the Cleansing Hour was born out of that.
And since you love exorcist type movies, were there any movies you kind of leaned on specifically going into this, or maybe rewatched and preparing for all this?
Well, there are a handful of exorcism movies that I just adore. Starting with The Exorcist, and then I love Scott Derrickson's work, Sinister, Exorcism of Emily Rose, and then I think that have you seen the movie Phone Booth with Colin Farrell?
Yeah.
This movie has a sort of a phone booth quality about it. And, I did study quite a lot. Joel Schumacher. would say those are the ones.
Awesome.
And of course, I gotta shout out to Sam Raimi, who's just an incredible inspiration for me, and he's a guy who works with practical effects a lot, and just such a phenomenal filmmaker. I mean, I drew a lot from stuff that he's done as well too.
Absolutely. One of the things that I definitely commend you on in this movie, and kind of born of your idea of it, is the originality in it, because it's so hard to put a new exorcism story together or a new spin on it, and you do that. Kind of talk about a little bit of that reality show that you wanted to put in it, and obviously the social media was an important part of it. That definitely added some originality to it. So can you talk a little bit about the importance of that?
Yeah, the importance of the originality of integrating social media and reality TV, that sort of thing. Yeah, well, I think that it's audiences. Everybody wants to see something they haven't seen before, right? But at the same time, I think that you also have to be aware of making something that's relatable for everybody else. So, the challenge I found was, how do we take this thing that we know very well, that we're all very familiar with, and sort of turn it on its head and turn it into something that's horrifying? And, when I was writing The Cleansing Hour, there are certain things in the movie, and spoiler alert, there are certain things that were in the movie, like live streaming a suicide, and live streaming someone, being forced to get naked on camera and have something terrible done to them. I wrote all that stuff before that stuff actually started happening. We were reading news stories about people killing themselves on Facebook or having horrible things done to them. So I'm not proud of the fact that I was very prescient and in the way that I predicted these sorts of things, but that is the world we live in now, and in some ways the timing of The Cleansing Hour can be better because it sort of holds a mirror up to everybody else. Hey, look, this is where we are now. Maybe we should give all of this social media stuff a second thought.
Certainly, and I sometimes ask, filmmakers, did they kind of think maybe I shouldn't have put that in, or maybe if I was going too far. But obviously, with what you just said, it's almost a sign of the time. So obviously, did you feel that kind of took maybe a little pressure off? Maybe once you put that on film, or you were just like, I'm going to put this on film, and whatever happens, happens.
That's the latter. I'm pretty bold with my statements, and I'm not afraid to really say what I think. So all of that stuff is very much me. It's very personal. Everything that's in the movie is very personal for me. So I'm glad that it's okay.
Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about your cast, because they certainly do a terrific job and need to be commended. Can you talk a little bit about how they came together, how you found Ryan and Kyle and Alexis and put that team together?
Yeah, well, we had a casting director who helped cast the movie, and we auditioned certain roles, and other roles were just signing somebody on. But the interesting story behind casting Alix's role of the possessed girl is that we did an open call, which means that you basically send out a notice to everybody saying, hey, we're casting this role, and then you get flooded with, I think we have 3,000 or 4,000 submissions for the role. And as soon as I saw Alix's tape, I was just sold. I knew immediately, like, oh my gosh, she's perfect. She's doing this, she's performing this like she was in my head when I wrote it, and she just nailed it. I mean, it was just amazing. But I really lucked out with my cast in general, just because everyone that I worked with was so phenomenally talented that in a lot of ways made my job much easier, and it allowed us to work faster, and they were so professional, and everything about the cast made making the movie more fun.
Awesome. Since you mentioned Alexis's role in it, a lot of her role is obviously physical. She's there in the chair. So did she find it, I guess, how challenging it was for her to kind of map out what you wanted, and all of the, playing the part of I guess, the demon, to say, is one of the hardest things, and hitting the physical cues there. Yeah, kind of how did you have to guide her, or she was very natural in that, or she nailed everything that you kind of...
I did rehearse with Alix more than anybody else, just because it was really important for both of us to make sure that we were giving each other what we needed, and sort of figuring out like what is Lane doing? How does Lane move when she is possessed? When the demon is in control, we had to sort of create, because she's sitting in the chair the whole time, we had to sort of create this sort of physical differentiation between when Lane is in control and when the demon is in control, and do something that was unique, that didn't look silly, that Alix could pull off, and it also felt to look natural at the same time. And we did that, and we were able to pull that off. And she showed up on the day. It was terrific, and really kind of blew everybody's socks off. And I honestly think, I truly do believe that Alix has delivered one of the most memorable possession performances in the history of exorcism movies. And I don't make a comment like that lightly. I really do think she has one of the most phenomenal performances that anybody could see. And if anybody has not seen The Cleansing Hour, they should watch it for just that alone.
She, especially since you constrain her so much. I mean, I guess it's kind of similar to, you go back to the actual original, The Exorcist, and she's basically constrained a lot to the bed there. So you kind of take it a little bit different and constrain her to the chair for the most part.
Right.
Which definitely adds, that extra element. In other movies, you see them, maybe they get to more free reign of things. Another interesting thing here is you use someone to do the demon voice. Why did you kind of feel to split that up, or that was just a better way to go, or?
Whenever I first started making The Cleansing Hour, to be quite honest with you, I didn't know how I was going to do the demon voice. On the short film, what we did was we did a combination of pitching the voice down and blending it with a couple of other voices. So it almost sounds like there are multiple people talking, and that's kind of how we did the demon voice in the short. I wasn't ultimately satisfied with that. I wanted to do something different, but I wasn't sure how to get there. After a long trial and error, I finally said, I think we should try and maybe do this and see how that works. So, talked to my casting director, and I said, my favorite thing, that a person who I've always wanted to work with, because I love her voice so much, is Pat Carroll, who voiced Ursula in The Little Mermaid, the 1993 Little Mermaid. And so she called up Pat. Pat's like in her 90s, and she's retired. But her daughter, Tara Carsian, is very much working and sounds even scarier than Pat does. So we brought in Tara, and Tara has the most incredible voice. She sounds just like Ursula, except like scarier. Amazing voice, sweet woman. And the second she got in the booth and she started doing this, I was like, oh my gosh. I was cheering. I was so excited. Anyway, so we got the whole movie done. And then what we ended up doing was we combined, I was very specific about the way we combined her voice with Alix's voice. We never relied solely on Tara's voice. There's actually a story element to it. If the demon is super angry and is feeling more powerful, then you're going to have a deeper, bassier voice with more of Tara's voice coming through. But if it's more calm, you'll hear more of Alix's voice coming through. So it's actually mixed together, but I think it's mixed so brilliantly by we had a wonderful sound mixer who worked on Sabrina and Coldlands, and he did just a genius job of helping us create this truly unique demon possession voice that, again, I think also rivals The Exorcist in a lot of ways. Mercedes McCambridge is very famous for her performance in The Exorcist for the possession voice. So a lot of care and attention went into that.
Well, it's very, very interesting stuff there. I want to also kind of squeeze in real quick as a little conversation about Max in the movie, because you create here a character who's basically tasked with having to save them, but early on in the film, you paint him as a guy that maybe people shouldn't like. Why was that kind of important to kind of like cast him in two different directions there?
Well, Max is sort of like, he's supposed to represent this, like the douchey, like online influencer guy who's like all about himself. And, I think one of the biggest lessons that he has to learn over the course of the movie is he actually has to like dig inward, and he has to like take off that sort of facade of narcissism that he wears around everywhere, and we have to like peel back all the layers and see who real Max is. He has to become the guy who is willing to sacrifice his own dignity in order to be able to save his friends. That's his arc. But then, I really teased, not so subtly at the end, whenever he sort of smirks that he got his little blue check mark, that maybe his narcissism can't melt away after all.
Yeah, he definitely is a character study in himself, because, you know, sometimes you say a character has an arc, but, you know, it's questionable, but he certainly does, and I like the way you painted him as that. You know, because in the beginning of the movie you start and you see, oh, well, you're kind of fooled because you think, oh, he's a real father, then you find out, okay, he's not. But then, as opposed to just leaving the trick at that, you add some layers to that and give the audience more reason to hate him, but then put him in the position of, hey, well, he's also the guy who's going to have to, save and change, or they're all going to be finished right there.
That's right. Exactly.
I think you've done a good job of it overall, but I just wanted to kind of end this with, I guess, one last chance to kind of promote the film for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, and kind of also mention, what it means to you to go from a short film all the way to on Shudder, where, if people haven't seen it, it's a terrific way to get to audiences. So kind of a way to sum up your journey here and kind of promote the film one last time for anybody who hasn't seen it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, the Closing Hour feature film, which is coming out on the DVD, is also accompanied by the short film that I made to help get the movie made. I'm very proud of both movies for different reasons, but I'm especially proud of how this movie got made. With we have 2 female producers and female department heads and lots of diversity, and I love that I got this strong female character in the lead who sort of transforms our view of exorcism movies forever with her incredible performance. And there's also some behind the scenes goodies that are on DVD, as well as commentary from writer, director, and producers. And I think it would be a great addition to any genre fan's DVD collection.
Great. Well, I thank you very much for your time and joining me and answering the questions. And I really enjoyed the film and what you put together. And I'm definitely going to go back and look for that short film now.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.